I am Baba Uchenna of Ile Mole, and I welcome you back to the Babaluaiye healing ritual. For the next few days, we will be working to create a vibration of abundance that you can take with you and help manifest abundance in your life. Welcome.
Join me as I pour libation. Omi tutu, ona tutu, ile tutu, tutu la roye. Iba olodumare, iba ori, iba ogungun, iba eshu, eshu okiri oko, eshu ota orisha, alagbakun alabara, eshu machemi. Iba ogun Congo orun, iba ochosi odimata, oni bibi ajuba, iba bobo, orisha, iba bobo, abasun, iba bobo, afa, ifa, holy hosts of light. We give thanks for life, for living. Be with us as we come together in libation, as we come together to lift up the names of our ancestors, our mother's line, our mother's mother's line, our mother's father's line, our father's line, our father's mother's line, our father's father's line, the collective energy of our ancestors, those whose names we know, those whom we don't, those whom we are their dream come true. We invoke your spirit and energy that you hear our call, that you continue to watch over us, bless us, and keep us. Let there be no fear, no lack, no limitation, no blocks, no barriers, knowing that you are with us, that you are hearing our prayers, and that you are helping us in our healing, helping us to achieve success, helping us to overcome all that we wish to overcome. Open the way, open the way. We call on the essence and energy of the divinities to watch over us, to bless us and keep us, our family, our friends, our loved ones, all those in need of prayer, all those in need of healing. Blessings for Ile Imole, for our leaders, for our elders, for our priests, for our members, our well-wishers and supporters. Open up the way. Open up the way that we shall not fear, that we shall not forget everything and run, but face everything and rise. Rise above all, knowing that we are connected to spirit. We are connected to our ancestors. We are connected to our Oris, to the divinities, and they are watching over us. And for this, we are grateful. Bless us and keep us, every man, woman, and child, our leaders, the sick, the shut-in, anyone and everyone in need of prayer and in need of healing. Bless us and keep us. Open up the way, open up the way, open up the way, that all is well and all manner of things are well. Ashe, 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 oh.
Aboru, aboyi, abosiseo. Greetings to everyone. Peace and blessing to you. I wish you alafia to you. This is His Royal Majesty Oba Awugbemega Oyelese Fashina Bogumbe and the Oba Iwaifa of Oyo State and the President, the Ogundameji Temple, Agbalaifa, Apata, Ibadan, Nigeria. I would like to bless us, to bless you all with the Odifa of Ofumeji. Ifá ní tútù ní wọ́n rọ dẹ́, tútù ní wọ́n rọ bàbá. Omi tó bá tẹnu ẹja bọ́ ní tútù ní adíwá fún Ọ̀rúnmìlà. Bàbá ọdẹ ayé tó tútù tó yìnyín. Wọ́n ní kó kàálẹ̀ jàre ẹbọ ni kó wá ṣe. Ǹjẹ́ ayé Ifá tútù domi lọ, ẹ̀rìgì lọ, ayé Ọ̀rúnmìlà tútù tó yìnyín. Ayé Ifá tútù domi lọ. The translation of this Odu Ifa is that Ifa said, "Tutu ni wọ́n rọ dẹ́," that is, we mold the brass with cold, in cold way. Tutu ni wọ́n rọ bàbà. We made the Guinea corn with cold, without hot. Omi tó bá tẹnu ẹja bọ́ ní tútù ní. The water that come from the fish in the river usually come out in cold. meaning there is no, you cannot see any code, any fish that come out in the river with hot water. We usually find the cold water from the mouth of the fish in the river. Cast divination for Orunmila when he wanted to live a meaningful and an easy life. Things were not easy for him, and Orunmila they performed the sacrifice for Orunmila, and things.
Greetings, family. Habagani. I am Baba Charles. My African names are Ejimofor and Ifa Larry. I have the task of interpreting the Odu for this evening. Based on my reaction to the Odu, one of the things that I learned is that things aren't often as they seem. So the first part of the interpretation by the Babaluaiye was that is that life comes from things that are cold. So even though in most people's minds cold has a negative connotation, cold also gives rise to some of the most life-sustaining things on the planet. Brass is an element that lasts for thousands of years. Guinea corn is something that sustains us, and it's made through a cold process, as well as the fish coming out of the sea, who are essentially another life-sustaining substance for us and for humanity. So the first part of the Odu, I thought, gave a little bit of a deception about how we perceive things. Sometimes what we perceive as being one way can be another way, and that other way can be very positive. Now the last part of the Odu had to do with divination, and the relationship of Oludumare to our wants and our needs. And when Orunmila went to for that divination, he was seeking a respite. He was seeking relief from his harsh life, and what he learned through that process is that Oludumare provides calm, he provides peace, he provides a meaningful life, he provides abundance. And so my interpretation of that is that while we perceive the spirit as providing everything, the spirit does not provide everything. The spirit provides that which is good. And so that is how I interpreted the Odu for today.
Today I'll be talking about education. Specifically, I'll be discussing traditional African approaches to education, how they differ from most approaches to education today in the diaspora, specifically here in the United States. And I'll also be sharing some recommendations around how we can incorporate some of these traditional methods now and moving forward. So there were countless different educational systems and methods in ancient Africa. There still are many today. And we can't discuss them all. So I'll be providing a very surface level analysis, and I'll be combining a lot of different concepts into a single approach. Additionally, there are a lot of modern approaches to education that mirror these ancient practices, but I'll focus on the major differences between ancient African education and education in America today. Finally, There are merits to all systems and approaches, so this is not a good versus bad. This is more a what can we use that we aren't using, and what isn't serving us now and should be reconsidered. So traditional education in Africa was a holistic system. It was deeply embedded in the daily lives, cultures, and social structures of African communities. And this is significantly different from the formal, more institutionalized education system common in America today. The way we're going to look at these systems are through three different lenses: what is learned, how it's learned, and then the context or system within which it is learned. So let's start with what is learned. In traditional education, traditional ancient African education, there were three focuses that are somewhat different from how we approach education today. There was a focus on practical skills, a focus on moral and ethical instruction, and a focus on spiritual education. When we talk about practical skills, traditional African education emphasized skills necessary for daily life: farming, hunting, weaving, pottery, and other trades. Additionally, financial skills: how to run a business, how to be part of a community, how to navigate family life, etc. On the moral and ethical, check that there. On the moral and ethical side, instruction was deeply intertwined with moral and ethical teachings. Elders, community leaders, other members of the community played a significant role in imparting values like respect for elders, honesty, good moral character, communal responsibility, etc. A lot of these are values that we might consider as part of Iwa Pele, or being an Omoluabi, which is something that we discussed in a previous presentation. Some of you all might remember. Finally, spiritual education was highly important. It was a central aspect of education, and education involved understanding the community's religious beliefs, rituals, and practices. So how does that differ from education in America today? Well, education in America is a little bit more specialized. Firstly, it focuses on academic achievement, places a strong emphasis on standardized testing, the acquisition of knowledge, etc., often at the expense of practical life skills. Additionally, on specialization, students are encouraged to focus on specific subjects or fields of study, often leading to a more narrow focus in their education. This, which is contrasted from the more holistic, integrated approach to traditional African education. So what's the result of this? Well, the result is that graduates today sometimes don't feel like their time in school was valuable or aligned with the needs in the real world, quote unquote. What they learned often is seen as not applicable or as applicable as they thought. And even if they specialize successfully, find a niche within which they can work effectively, they may feel like their work is not fulfilling or aligned with their moral or spiritual identity. So now let's look at how things are taught or how students learn in these two different systems. In the traditional African educational systems, often learning was done through an apprenticeship model. Excuse me. Learning was hands-on, it was experiential. Children learned by observing elders, participating in tasks alongside them, and observing the ways that education was applied in real-world contexts. And this form of apprenticeship allowed for direct transmission of knowledge and skills within the community. Additionally, storytelling and oral tradition was seen as essential in ancient African systems of education. It was the key method of educating. History, culture, and values were passed down through stories, proverbs, songs, dances, etc. And what this does is this leads to a contextualization of that knowledge. How does that knowledge fit into a wider framework within that community? Griots, or traditional storytellers, played a crucial role in preserving and teaching history, culture, and societal norms. So there wasn't a single teacher that was responsible for sharing academic knowledge. This was taken on by all members of the community. How does this differ from today? Well, in today's system, particularly in America, the teacher is often seen as the primary source of knowledge, and students are expected to absorb and sometimes just robotically reproduce this knowledge. This relationship is a lot more hierarchical compared to the more collaborative and communal approach in traditional African education. Additionally, formal assessments are seen as very essential in today's systems. American education relies heavily on these formal assessments, exams, tests, grades, etc., to measure student progress and achievement. Traditional African education, on the other hand, assessed learning through the practical application of skills and the demonstration not only of those skills, but good character and values in everyday life. So, what's the result of this? Well, today, this system embeds somewhat of a division between student life and adult life or real world life. In traditional African society, you were an apprentice, but you were an active member of the community, acquiring the skills that you would need once you embarked on your own path. The internship model in America somewhat mirrors this, right? Internships are very common in a lot of systems and academic approaches, but it doesn't mirror it perfectly. So this division is why a lot of students might excel at school or might even excel in college, but once they've graduated, they might struggle. Additionally, there's a division between smart and not smart based on these formal assessments, and there's a de-emphasis on non-academic knowledge. Finally, let's look at the context or system within which all of this learning takes place. In ancient African educational systems, education was done by the community and for the community, and it wasn't confined to a specific age group or location. Everyone in the community had a role in educating the younger generation. And education was continuous and relevant to the community needs. One of the specific contexts within which this took place are rites of passage programs, which were experiences, ceremonies, programs, etc., that were marking important transitions in a person's life. And they were designed to impart the knowledge, responsibilities, but additionally the social roles expected of individuals at different stages in life. So learning was for the goal of fitting into a communal role or fitting into a societal role, as opposed to just learning for learning's sake. How does this differ from the systems and contexts within which learning takes place today? Well, we have institutionalized learning, which is rather highly formalized, with children attending schools that are separate from their homes and communities. Learning is structured around a standardized curriculum, and education is divided into these distinct stages. There are some efforts to involve the community in American educational systems, but these are very segmented. Uh, Education today is primarily the responsibility of the school, and the broader community is less involved in the day-to-day learning process. Additionally, we have uniform curricula today in the American system of education. There are standardized curricula that are uniform, often throughout the state, very often throughout, we have national standards. So some of these curricula are uniform across the country. And that's regardless of regional or cultural differences, which is very different from traditional African education, where the content was tailored to the needs and values of the community. So now that we've looked at some of these differences and looked at how how these two systems approach education in different ways, let's talk about some practical recommendations around how students, and when I say students, I mean young, old, or elders. Everyone should be a student, right? You should be a lifelong learner. So we're not just talking about students in the pre-K to 12th grade context or only in the college context, but all learners of all ages. So what are some recommendations to how we as learners can incorporate these traditional African methods and concepts to become more well-rounded today? I have 5 specific ones. So firstly, there's integrating knowledge across disciplines. Today, in a lot of educational contexts, this is called interdisciplinary instruction, and it's actually becoming a lot more popular. There are educational approaches like Montessori that emphasize this. There's another concrete example like the Future City program, which is a program that asks students to imagine a city of the future, but to design the energy systems, the financial structures, the community spaces, how the city will support its underserved populations, etc. So focusing more on learning that's interdisciplinary can provide us with a little bit more of a well-rounded approach. Additionally, there's balancing practical skills with academic learning. How many students today are learning how to budget their personal expenses, start a business, acquire a trade in school? Not many. Often students are left to acquire these skills on their own after they've graduated, whereas in traditional African education, all of these practical skills were emphasized while that student was still learning. Another recommendation is to focus on hands-on learning. When we're talking about pre-K to 12th grade, this looks like experiments, activities, internships, working directly with professionals, etc. All of these can bring more hands-on learning into the picture. Youth today need to feel, touch, and see what they're learning and feel it contextualized in a larger framework. Traditional methods of merely lecturing aren't going to hold the attention of most students today. There's cultivation of ethics and moral character as a key feature of learning. Today, this is often left to the home or the spiritual organization or society, but it isn't emphasized in school. A part of this is addressed through what a lot of people call today social emotional learning, which is a very popular aspect of learning systems in America today. A lot of social emotional learning speaks to these things: self-awareness, self-management, relationship skills, responsible decision-making, etc. But this isn't the complete package. So today we have to address some of these concepts outside of the classroom. Um, rites of passage, which we talked about a bit earlier, is one of the ways that we can address this outside of the school. Finally, there's engaging with the community. What do our youth do that touches individuals that aren't part of their family or in their school? Uh, these are not the only contexts within which youth operate. So if those are the only places that youth are experiencing learning, they aren't getting the full picture. So place youth in volunteer opportunities, after school and summer programs, have them complete community learning projects with family members or neighbors. Ensure they're participating civically. Even if they're too young to vote, they should be aware of the things affecting them in their community. Have these discussions with them, and very importantly, ask them what they think. So to conclude, effective learning happens in context. It's not enough to only know that fire is hot. It's important to know that fire can cook, it can warm, it can burn. It's important to know how to control fire effectively, how to address fire when it's uncontrolled, etc. Traditional African education emphasizes this context, as we discussed, often through hands-on exploration or community-led education. So that knowledge is placed in a constellation of cultural and societal norms. Today in America, specialized education is emphasized. Specialization does have its place, but we need to ensure that students understand the why behind what they're learning and can see both the lesson as well as themselves in a broader picture. We also need to ensure that learning is practical. And if our schools aren't integrating these practical life skills, we need to do so in the home. It's great to know how to apply the quadratic formula effectively, very important for, lots of individuals, but it's also very important how to know how to change a tire. So finally, moral and spiritual development must be an essential aspect of a young person's learning. We can see the effect of this lack all around us as youth feel increasingly unanchored or unfulfilled in their lives. Alignment with our inner being is what makes us feel anchored, and our inner being is a spiritual entity, not an academic one. So if our schools are lacking in instruction in these less tangible areas, we need to focus on them ourselves. And finally, at the end of the day, and this is very important, one of the most important things you can do as a parent or as someone who's supporting a student in their learning journey is to listen to them, to ask them questions, to communicate with them. and this emphasizes the community-led aspects of traditional African education. You need to be involved in the educational journey and do not leave it solely to the teacher or the school. So these are some of the recommendations around how we can incorporate these traditional African methods of education into our lives. There are lots of others, and we only had a few minutes to discuss today. But at the end of the day, if you're listening and if you're trying to put what your student is learning into a wider community context, you're moving in the right direction.
So greetings. We are now at this very special part of our service where we engage in some reciprocity. Reciprocity is part of our 16-day Babaluaiye healing ritual. We're at the point in which we give back. We're at the point in which we experience reciprocity, the point in which we give as we receive. We want to help the blessings flow like the waters. Yes, indeed, as part of this service, we want you to just participate in this giving, in this receiving, and we use the cowrie shells to help to facilitate our ritual of giving. And so we talk about the perennial giving and receiving that represents the interconnectedness of the universe. We want to help Ile Imole grow its services and its offerings, its ceremonies and its festivals, its retreats and its rites of passage, and all of the above. The first Sunday service, yes, indeed. The Babaluaiye healing ritual, the Black History event, our morning ground ritual, our Orisha feast, our back to school ritual, our water ritual, our elders ancestral events, our soulful empowerment. All of these are annual events, and back to right here, right now, today, our Babaluaiye 16-day healing ritual. Let there flow peace, power, love, and prosperity. Let there flow peace, power, love, and the prosperity. Let the blessings of Oshun wash down upon us, empowering us with prosperity, empowering us with power, and empowering us with perfection. Praise God. Praise God. Olodumare, from whom all blessings flow. Pull out that Cash App, or we'll call it our Carry app, and it's going to be $Ile Imole, $ILEIMOLE, PayPal, info@ileimole.com. And you can do your snail mail by check, Ile Imole, P.O. Box 610, Temple Hills, Maryland 20757. Yes, indeed. Give so that you may receive. So now that we've had the opportunity to give our $Ile Imole for Cash App, our PayPal, info@ileimole.com, or our snail mail checks, we want to thank the Mother, Father, God, the ancestors, the deities, and the saints. We want to please accept these offerings, these heartfelt offerings on this day in your name from your devotees. And as we give our gifts freely with joy, we receive these blessings gladly with gratitude. And for those who are physically unable to give, please know that we are forever in the spiritual love. There's so many causes in society today, so much. We know that the energy from our collective giving sparks the energy such that as we contribute to one, we are ultimately contributing to all. Mother, Father, God, may you accept these gifts, these abundant gifts and blessings, and continue to flow and rain down blessings upon us, bringing to all good fortune, abundance, good health, prosperity, and peace. Thank you for accepting our offer. Ashe.
strives and struggles plowed the spirit and the strength of what we now call eco-socialism.
Masimulizi yake story zimetukata mori, kufungwa kwa minyororo eti ndo mwanzo wa safari. Safari ya my story sio story, ni story za ukoloni zinazonipicha mimi, zinazonificha chini nisiamini ule uwezo na ujuzi kabla karne 20. Mama kushi simthamini, asili kasukumwa nyuma kwa siri shuleni. Mazingira yaliyozinga nikisanga kuyapinga, nani atatukinga atatuchunga? Tumetusi wakunga kwa kubuya na kudunga, mifumo imetufunga na huu moja umetutenga. Kama karata mezani inabidi upya kujichanga. Afrika to diaspora turudi mezani kuja panga, kabla huyu kipanga kuja kupita na vifaranga.
Tutunze mazingira, tusijepata sara ukataji miti mara kwa mara, sababu ni biashara. Tutumie zetu fikra na tufanye ya busara kwa wale taira sababishi wa ufukara. Mongali itatendeka, uhalifu kuepuka, ujangili waongezeka, wanyama watuondoka. Miaka mbele ikifika, wanyama watatutoka. Kipi kitafanyika janga hili kulepuka? Janga hili kulepuka.
We weave ourselves to life and to Mother Earth. We are connected. We are one.
Africa Eloisila, Eloisila, Aroningo nanu Eloisila, Olosho Eloisila, Eloisila, Africa Eloisila, Olosho Eloisila, Dadola Jijik Eloisila, Africa Eloisila, Africa Torona Losho, my bongara walking. Aronyorin kihwa, aronyor paakin.
Upendo wa mbingu na ardhi tunauomba uendelee, mazao na mimea ili isitokome. Karimu wako Mwenyezi Mungu ulitutaka tukutegemee, watu wote na vitu vyote kila kitu kikunyoshe. Imani na thawabu zetu kwako utuongoze, hekima na huzima, fikra za umaskini wa dhambi na utumwa wa akili utukombolee. Rutuba ya mashamba duniani haswa Afrika utugombee, maana watu tunauona kugombea urithi utusamee. Kwa yote tunaoyafanya bila kujua utuepushi, wazee wa zamani walidumu mashambani kwa mbegu za kuhifadhi, sio kwa mbegu za madukani. Tujali uwasilu tu kwa Mungu maishani, kama tusishindane na Mungu kwani miujiza yake inashuhudika hadharani. Yeah.
It is up to us, we knowers, to carry the seeds that sprout resistance to oppression in our cultures and our traditions. We are the seeds that sprout food and water justice, social justice, environmental justice, community empowerment, and international solidarity. Tuko pamoja, estamos conectados, somos uno. Let's make her smile.